All right, eyes up here, please. So today we're going to start and we're going to write our rough drafts for our personal narrative, okay? A rough draft is when you write your ideas. You write your whole thing, beginning to end. And if you don't know how to spell a word, you just do your best to keep going. This is a day to get all your ideas on your paper. And then we'll go back and revise. Revising is when we make our ideas better, and then we'll edit. That's when you make your spelling, punctuation, capitalization better, okay? We'll go back and do all of that, but today we're getting our ideas on the paper. But oftentimes when we're writing, the hardest part is getting started. So today I want to talk to you about how to get started, okay? I apologize if you're on video, you're not able to really see this very well, but there are two things I want you to think about when you're getting started. The first one is, think about your small moment. All of you sent me an activity with a sentence on the small moment that you're going to be writing about. Thumbs up if you remember what that moment was, okay? So today you're going to be thinking about that moment before you write. And I want you to think about during that time, the moment, the really important moment you want to capture in your writing. I want you to think about that. Excuse me. And I want you to think about the story and replay it in your mind. And I want you to think about, where am I going to start telling my story? For example, I'm writing about when I lived on the farm and I was married when my kids were little. They were like 6 or 7. Their dad built a tree house, okay? And I'm thinking about that day, the very first time, the very first moment, he said it was done and we went over there to get up in the tree house and I fell off the ladder going up. So that's going to be my personal narrative. So I'm thinking about that story, and as I replay it in my mind, I'm thinking, where am I going to start? If I'm writing a small moment, am I going to start in the morning when I wake up and what I had for breakfast and tell all that? No. I'm going to zoom into that few minutes that this happened. So in my mind, I have to think, where am I going to start? So I think, and that's what I want you to do today. In a minute, I'm going to have you kind of replay your small moment, your event in your head, step by step, and I want you to think very clearly about, at what moment are you going to start telling the story? Because that's where you can start writing your story, okay? So for me, I'm going to start with the moment that my husband said, everybody, the treehouse is ready, okay? And we were going to run over there and try it out, okay? So I'm deciding, because I know when I'm writing that we've learned that it's kind of like having a catchy beginner. We want to grab our audience's attention, right? We want to start in some kind of memorable way, or a way that grabs our audience's attention, like using dialogue or description. So I'm going to use dialogue. I'm going to just start with that moment when he calls us over to the treehouse. So that's going to help me know where to start. So I'm going to start there. It's done. To the kids and I. So now that I have a place to start, it makes it so much easier to continue telling my story step by step. So let me reread it. It's done, my husband called to the kids and I while we were playing in the backyard. So now that I know where I start, I can tell the story step by step, picturing what happens next. What happened next? We went running over there, right? Okay. So we tree house. In pure excitement, because I'm trying to get, when I'm telling my story, I want to make sure I'm telling what happened, event-wise, but what also is going on in our heads, you know? This is exciting. We went running over to the new treehouse in pure excitement. So I don't want to forget what I'm thinking either. So at that moment, for real, as I go through this in my head, the first thing I thought was, I thought to myself, now I have a quiet place to read my books.
Perfect place with all that
To read. Okay. As we got closer, and then I'm going to keep telling my story. Now, I'm not going to write my whole story for you right now. But what I want to show you is once you know how to begin, the rest is pretty easy. It just comes because you're actually picturing the next step and the next step and the next step. What happens next? What happens after that? What am I thinking at that moment? Okay? And you want to make sure that you capture those moments when you're thinking something, because you're telling the inside story and the outside story too. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to think about your small moment. I want you to close your eyes and picture it step by step. Think about what happened, the event that happened, and what happened right before it, what happened right after. And as you work through it in your mind, I want you to think about where are you going to start telling your story? Okay? Anybody want to share? Colton?
I'm going to start by when I was riding my bike because is where I fell off and got a ball.
So he's talking about falling off of his bike. So he's going to start when he's first out there riding his bike, before things go wrong. Doesn't that make sense? He's not going to start in the morning when he woke up. He's going to start right there in that moment. Hunter, what about you?
I'm going to start when I fell down my hill.
But that's what your story is about. You're going to start right when you're falling? Or maybe right before it. What are you doing before you fell down your hill?
I was running up the hill.
Okay. So I want all of you to be thinking about that today. I'm going to give you a piece of notebook paper. And today your job is going to be to write your personal narrative. The whole thing. Remember, this is a draft. Don't raise your hand and say, how do you spell this? Do your best. Spell the sounds that you hear. And then on Monday, I'm going to teach you about what we're going to be using to type our story in. And then we're going to go back when we get back from the break, and we're going to do some revising and editing together. But today, you're just writing your story from the beginning and end. So I want you to, in your mind already, have an idea of where am I going to start. And I'm going to bring you a piece of notebook paper. You're actually going to write it down. And then I'll collect them and give them back to you.